and just showing you a few of the tools that we've got to support PSHE and SMSCH, whichever one of those that you actually teach in your school, through some of our cross-curricular resources. As always, my name is Haylie, and what we're hoping to cover today, first of all, looking at those avatars. You may have noticed them on your screen. The children love to choose their own little avatar on their page, but because they have their different expressions, they're really good for understanding how your students might be feeling. We're going to then look at a couple of those new resources that we've added. We've got some great brand new resources for this academic year, purely sort of devoted to wellbeing, PSHE. And then a couple of ideas and suggestions, things that I used to do to support my students when I was teaching, as well as a handout that I'm going to give you as well. I'll send across to you. Now, as always, before we get started, I just need to go over a couple of things. The account I'm going to be using is a made-up school, so do not worry about any names that you may see, whether staff or student, they are all made up. And it's also going to be an English account that I'm going to be using. So I will point out if there are any differences if you're joining me today from outside of England. Also, if you've got any questions as we are going along, you'll notice on your bar, you will have a Q&A function. You can click into that and ask me a question live. I'll be able to answer that for you. Some questions I might not be able to answer immediately, but I will sort of let you know once I find the answers. And you can also click to ask me a question anonymously as well by clicking into anonymous, and then your name will not appear. Right, I think that is just about everything. So heading over to EducationCity.com where we can get started. And here we are logged into my account. Now, as always, I like to use the new view, but you can still use the classic view as well if you wish to. You know, nothing stopping you from using that if you want to, and if you're following along at home as well. Starting off with by that avatar, you'll notice you've got like a little monster on your screen, and you can change that depending upon how you are feeling. Well, your students have a very similar thing. When they log into their Education City accounts, they will have access to change their little avatars, and you'll be able to keep track of these, whether for a class or a group of students, across the board. There we go. So you'll have your different year groups appear just here, and you can then have a look to see both the last time that they logged in and also what little avatar they've chosen for that week. And you'll see you've got some different expressions just there. You've got the generic one, which means they haven't changed it. You've got a little sleepy one just here. So Brandon's a little sleepy. Maybe he was playing football all week. He's feeling quite sleepy just there. And if we scroll down just here, you can see Henry's got a bit of an excited face on there. He's obviously, maybe it's his birthday coming up or something. But Hannah's chosen a sad face. Now you may think actually she might just like the colour pink, but I know there are at least 3 different pink avatars on the student's account. So it is always worthwhile keeping an eye on what little overviews, what little icons, I should say, in the overview your students have selected. While we're over here, I'm going to head over to the search content function in the top right hand side of the screen, because this is where we're going to search for our PSHE or SMSCH content. There we go. And you can see there's a link already put on there for you, a link to our brand new resources. And you can see across the board, sort of they link to different areas of PSHE, such as, you know, relating to your own experiences, sort of understanding how you might say things in different situations, sort of tone of voice, in that scenario, and obviously linking back to reading as well and how children use intonation. Scrolling through here, you can see a couple of things like discussing themselves, right down to the people who help us for the younger year groups. And if I scroll back up to the top, you can see there's another thing just here. We can search via those keywords. So obviously you've got SMSCH, you could search for social, moral, can't remember the other one, social, moral, mental, I can't remember. That's cultural is another one, isn't it? I can't remember. But you can search via a keyword if you wish to. There we go, such as feelings, and looking at how you might feel. Again, you've still got those filters down that left-hand side, and we can sort of filter down by the content types just here as well. Spiritual, that's the other one. I've just remembered it. So you've got some really, really lovely ones just here. Sort of how you might feel, why you might feel that way as well. So linking things that might be happening around you, things that might be happening in your life to a specific feeling. And obviously, as always, with a think it, you've got a question and the answer just here. How might you be feeling excited? Why might you be feeling excited? And sort of sharing that across the classroom as well. In addition to Think It's, we have some lovely activities that your students will love. Again, this is a favourite of mine, looking at the emotional roller coaster and understanding that different people will like different things.
Does everybody like spiders?
For example, who likes spiders? Yes or no? And you've got that, it's okay to be different. It's okay to have sort of that individuality, if you like. That's one of our sort of science cross-curriculars just there as well. And just to show you, there's this one here, which is a lovely one. It's a reading, looking at feeling left out. Why would somebody feel left out in a certain situation? Now, feel free to explore different year groups that maybe aren't associated or are different to your year group. Things such as the Moody Monsters, which is actually an F2 resource. You've got the emotions. So you can always look at sort of facial expressions, really good for anybody sort of maybe on the ASD spectrum, and looking at how that face links to how somebody might be feeling. And you can see if we go into here, this person's feeling sad, why might they be feeling sad, and so on and so forth. So we've got a lot of resources that link to PSHE. Obviously, wellbeing is something that you will do with your students, and obviously each of your students will feel in that feel differently about it as well. It's a real independent feeling, isn't it? And how people might react to it as well. But do feel free to explore those via those keywords. And we've also got on our homepage down here our online safety bundle. And within this will have things like sort of staying safe online, the importance of sort of being secure online, and sort of cyberbullying as well, sort of linked back to that PSHE curriculum, making sure students are remaining safe and they understand about bullying, including cyberbullying as well. Now, as I said, all students will feel very differently. Your older students, obviously, if they're huggers, they're not going to be able to hug their friends. And they might feel frustrated by that. They might feel angry about that. You will all have your own techniques of dealing with that. So heading back over to our PSHE, a couple of bits that I wish to show you about. Something like Wellbeing Bingo, which is something that I used to use with my students. If they're feeling angry or frustrated, there's just a couple of ideas that they can do, from starting with their arms at each side, imagining the hands are magnets, and as they bring them closer to themselves, they will link together, and just doing that as many times as they need to try and calm themselves and sort of release that feeling of anger or frustration. Even things like breathing like a different animal. Different animals have their different ways, and just, does this relax you? What sort of animal breathing will relax you? So there's some really lovely ideas there. And obviously this is something that you can do with your students. Now, you will be receiving a handout that will look like this, that will tell you all of the links to all of our sort of PSHE or SMSCH content. You've obviously got the little codes in there as well. So for example, this 26076, what you can do is really easily type that into the search content area and it will come up with that exact resource. So it is a really useful way of just finding exactly what you need really, really quickly. Really, really brief one tonight, guys. I just wanted to share with you the fact that we do want to support you. So any questions that you might have for us, either now or at a later date, you know, we want to look after your well-being as well as that as your students. So any questions you've got in any way that we can make your life easier, please do get in touch. And there's my email address just there, customerservice@educationcity.com. That's customerservice@educationcity.com. Feel free to send me an email, any questions you might have, any feedback that you might have, or even if you just want to make sure that we're listening, you can do that as well. Send me over an email. As always, I really hope that you stay safe and take care, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.